I'm Greg Cameron. I'm from the County Attorney's Office, the County Department of Law. This is a public hearing in relation to, pursuant to New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, the Erie County Charter, and the Erie County Administrative Code. It's in relation to Erie County Local Law Intro 9-2 of 2014 as it relates to the regulation of electronic cigarettes within the County of Erie. With me is John Rivera from the County Executive's Office. He's here to take in the comments that you people want to give, bring them back to the County Executive to aid in his decision with respect to whether or not to approve or disapprove of this proposed local law. Joe McMahon, to my right, is also from the County Executive's Office. Just with respect to the organization of the hearing, I'd ask that all individuals interested in speaking today sign this sign-up sheet. If anyone hasn't, there's more sign-up sheets. You can come up now. Otherwise, I'll call by name in order of the signage, individuals to come up and speak. Given the amount of individuals who's expressed a willingness to talk today, we're going to try to keep comments within 3 minutes. I'll let you know when you're close. And that way everybody who wants can have an opportunity to speak. With that, we'll start with Diane Stauder.
My name is Diane Stauder. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a registered respiratory therapist and a forensic nurse examiner. And I am against the ban. Smokers are about 60% more likely to quit if they use a vaping device. Given that smokers smoke primarily for the nicotine but die primarily from the tar, one might imagine that smoking vaping devices would be welcomed as a means to prevent much of the death and suffering caused by cigarettes. Just leads me to wonder, what is it about a person putting something in their mouth and inhaling? E-cigarette pessimists are stuck on this idea that anything that looks like smoking is bad. They are so blinded by this ideology that they are not able to see e-cigarettes objectively. Many scientists say e-cigarettes will be truly effective in reducing the death toll from smoking. Gums, patches, and other therapies to help quit smoking have never quite taken off. It is the act of the hand movement, arm movement, and inhaling something that's part of the habit, not just the introduction of nicotine. So what if they get nicotine? That's no worse than caffeine in your daily cup of coffee. It isn't the nicotine that's the problem, it's the smoke, and that's where the difference lies. Some public health experts, after a single-minded battle against smoking that has run for decades, are too inflexible about e-cigarettes, and I really believe that even after the full evidence comes in on its safety, that these same people will still have the same feelings about vaping devices. The strategy should be to reduce harm from conventional cigarettes, and e-cigarettes offer a way to do that. A clinical trial in New Zealand, which many researchers regard as the most reliable study to date, found that after 6 months, about 7% of people given e-cigarettes had quit smoking, a slightly better rate than those with patches. In Britain, researchers say that smoking trends are heading in the right direction, motivation to quit is up, success of quit attempts is up, and prevalence is coming down faster than it has in the last 7 years, says Robert West, director of the Tobacco Studies in University College in London. A fair amount of data shows that e-cigarettes don't contain compounds like formaldehyde, benzene, and ammonia, which tobacco makers add to their regular cigarettes to spike the nicotine. E-cigarettes are smokeless. There is no tobacco, no flame, no smoke, and no resulting tar or carbon monoxide transfer to a user's lungs. What we do know so far is that they don't have many of those very dangerous ingredients that are added to regular cigarettes. One study published in Lancet in 2013 found that e-cigarettes were modestly effective at helping smokers quit.
About 30 seconds, Diane.
Okay. I do want to talk about that they do have one study out, a new study published online ahead of print in the International Journal of Hygiene and Environmental Health is one of the first to examine levels of chemicals in the ambient air of a real-life setting in the presence of electronic cigarettes. The study analyzed the levels of a large number of pollutants in the ambient air of a room in an office building during the presence of 3 smokers using electronic cigarettes. And the room was moderately ventilated at 0.56 air changes per hour. And basically the study said that there was no rise in the CO2, no rise in the carbon monoxide, and about the only thing that they could say about the study was that e-cigarettes are not emission-free. And if that's the worst thing that you can say about e-cigarettes, well, heck, cars aren't even completely emission-free either. That's all I have to say.
Okay, and I forgot to mention, if anybody has anything to submit. Sure.
I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker.
Sure. Okay, everyone, County Executive Mark Bolenkarst was able to make it. We weren't sure if he would be able to be here or not, but he'd like to say a couple words.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate everyone coming here. As you know, the local law was passed by the Erie County Legislature. Under Erie County's charter is required before I make a determination whether to sign the law or veto it, that the public hearing be held. That's what this is. This is an opportunity for you to speak, to let us know your feelings on the subject matter. This is not a give and take. I'm not going to be talking about my particular beliefs on the subject matter at this time. This is just a public hearing for you to let us know exactly what your thoughts are on the subject matter. As Mr. Cameron from the County Attorney's Office noted, there's a certain timeline with every individual having the opportunity to speak. We will try to let everyone who wants to speak have the opportunity to speak. I may not be able to stay for the whole event, as I have to be at a meeting at 3 o'clock, but I do have Mr. McMahon and Mr. Rivera from my office here as well, who will be taking any additional comments if I leave before you actually have an opportunity to speak. And once again, if you have an opportunity and you've provided a written draft of your comments, we will accept those and they'll be put in the record for the final decision. With that, I look forward to continuing here with people have to say.
Okay, next up is Stacy Hardecourt. And if you could, if you do represent an organization, if you could state that as you begin your comments, I'd be appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stacy Hardecourt, and I am a longtime resident and the Director of Operations at a local retail business in Exteria, which is a juice manufacturer in Erie County. I'm speaking you to a great urgency and importance to express my concerns about the recent decision of Erie County Legislature to pass a ban on the use of electronic cigarettes wherever cigarette smoking is prohibited in Erie County. I understand that this decision was brought forth by the legislature, Peter Savage, in his argument to protect the community of secondhand vape, and to reiterate the Clean Air Act. In my own opinion, along with other business owners in the vaping industry and other numerous constituents, was made in such haste in the lack of knowing all the facts. Our community, as well as those within the vaping community, believe that there should have been more discussions involved focusing on a positive, reinforced statements, studies, and science brought forth by our industry and not set heavy upon the cons involving the use of electronic cigarettes. There were only 2 public legislative hearings, and they were put forth so quickly, almost under the radar, not giving ample opportunities to bring documentation and speakers that could rebuttal and justify that the use of these devices, electronic cigarettes, poses no life-threatening illness or injury upon the public. We attempted on numerous occasions to get the opportunity to speak to the legislature via emails, phone calls, and face-to-face. No response was ever made. They ignored us, basically. As concerned citizens, and being a part of the vaping industry, we wanted to help in the decision-making regarding this bill, given any and all, providing any and all educational information to them. We have been downtown numerous times. We were at both legislative hearings, and we put a lot of time and effort into trying to communicate, educate, and discuss, but no one was seeming to give us the time of day. They are trying to say that e-cigarettes are being directed towards teens and that they are being used in schools. I don't understand why there's so much focus on this when it's already prohibited. Using e-cigs, using any kind of tobacco product is prohibited. We do not sell to minors. We obey the law. Where they get them, I don't know, but I can say that it's not from this industry. We use identification, services and equipment in our facilities. Everybody IDs everybody in our facility, and we do not serve anybody under the age of 18. And we've been doing so since we started our business in 2008, before the law was even introduced. We were IDing everybody, and we never sold to any minor. If e-cigarettes, is such a fade, children will
About
find.
30 seconds, please.
Okay, sorry. I know this issue is very important, that you're trying to ban e-cigarettes, but by just the use in the public places where smoking is prohibited, but we are not smoking. It's not smoke. We want there to be an opportunity for businesses and their owners to decide whether or not You know, they would like vaping in their venues. They deserve the right to choose. We are your community, constituents, voters, and taxpayers. We are the small business owners that provide a life-changing service to this county and have a lot invested and a lot to lose. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, next up would be Riley McNamara.
Hello, my name is Riley McNamara. I'm 11 years old. I am a student and I live in Williamsville, New York. Both my mother and father used to smoke cigarettes and now they do not. Now they use electronic cigarettes. I am very happy that both of my parents quit smoking cigarettes and are now vaping. When they used to smoke, I was afraid for their health and for my own due to the chance of secondhand smoke. I didn't like that they were smoking in our home or smoking around me, my sister, and brothers. I do like that they stopped doing all of that and I use electronic cigarettes. There's no bad smoke smell. The vapor disappears after a couple of seconds and they feel so much better now that they have stopped smoking. My parents do not leave their e-juice or e-cigs just laying around. They have told me to never touch their electronic cigarettes or e-juice, and I don't. I would never because my parents have taught me that these things are not meant for me and I listen. I feel that my parents' lives are better off now if they do not smoke cigarettes. I feel that they will be around a lot longer. I wish my grandmother would have stopped smoking a long time ago and had switched to using electronic cigarettes a lot sooner. She still may be alive today, but she died of cancer this past August because of smoking cigarettes. I was thinking to myself one day, riding in a truck with my mother, and I asked her, Mom, Dad's been vaping for 7 years, and you have been vaping for 4 years, correct? And she answered yes. I then said to my mom, well then I have been around for both of you vaping for 7 years at least, and when I went for my yearly health physical, my doctor, he told me that I was very healthy and that there was nothing wrong with my health, right? So if I have been around you vaping for 7 years, I am healthy, then e-cigs shouldn't be so bad. It made sense to me. I know that I am a child, and what I have to say might not be as important as others, but I have a voice, and I just want you to know that what you are trying to do is not right. Everyone has a right to live and a right to be heard. Thank you for listening.
Okay, next is Victor Canestrano, it looks like.
My name is Victor Canestraro, and I represent Perfection Vapes, Depew, New York, and Monroe County, Erie County, multiple sites throughout the state of New York and Florida. I'd like to tell you firsthand, I started smoking when I was 9 years old. I've tried to quit smoking dozens of times in my life, sometimes quitting for a year or more, inevitably to go back to smoking cigarettes until I came across an e-cigarette about almost 6 years ago now. It changed my life. I used to be winded walking up to the second floor of my house to go to bed at night, literally getting into bed with my wife, who's never smoked, and being out of breath. I witnessed this change within my life as a result of this product. Fast forward a couple of years, I decided to open up a business to help other people utilize this technology to get themselves off of e-cigarettes, or off of cigarettes, excuse me. And to my amazement, roughly 70 to 80% of my client base that would come in each and every week would remain. They would come in and, I mean, it was amazing. They were so excited that they'd come in and say, I've been 2 weeks, I've been a month, I've been 3 months, I've been 6 months, I've been a year. Over and over, and I've been watching this for almost 3 years now with people. I can't tell you the satisfaction it brings to me to see these people and their lives change. Fast forward a couple of years, Mr. Savage, one of our Erie County legislators, decided that he was concerned with public health and safety. And he brought forth this bill in the name of public health and safety. We presented evidence and scientific findings to the panel, to the legislature, showing them that multiple universities in this country, multiple scientific accredited councils have done studies on the product and have not been able to find any carcinogens that were harmful to the end user, let alone to bystanders of secondhand vapor. At the same time, there are universities and accredited hospitals out there that, for whatever reasons, have shown otherwise. And I'll cite the case of Roswell, for example, in which I will, before I go into that, tell you I have multiple doctors that work for Roswell that send me customers on a weekly basis because their patients can't quit smoking.
About 30 seconds, Victor.
At the same time, they won't come here and say, they will not attest to this because it would go against their hospital's policy. Their hospital's taken a stance that e-cigarettes are bad because it looks bad and they believe that it encourages smoking. I will tell you this, Peter Savage himself said directly to me that he is not bringing this legislature based on public health or his concern of public health, but simply because he does not like the way it looks. As a smoker of 25 years, I understand the discrimination that comes against smokers. We are doing something that's harmful and potentially harmful to people that are standing beside us. At the same time, I cannot stand by willingly and allow somebody to create a law or a bill simply because they don't like the way it looks. I thank you, Mr. Polenkars, for holding this public hearing and at least giving us the opportunity to speak. And I also would like to thank Mrs. Saunders, who is a registered nurse and has given her professional opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Scott Katuza.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Scott Katuza. I started vaping about 3 years ago, and I started smoking cigarettes when I was a teenager. And I tried everything to quit. I was a professional athlete, traveling the Northeast as a professional wrestler in my younger 20s, and because of breathing problems, I had actually had part of my left lung removed. And even after that surgery, I still wasn't able to get off nicotine. I tried gum, patches, all that crap didn't work, and just led me back to smoking cigarettes again. That one stressful day, all you gotta do is go to the gas station, anywhere, pick up a pack of cigarettes. I started vaping. It's been the only thing that's kept me off cigarettes, and I've never went back in the whole entire time I've been doing it. So now I perform musically as an opening band for a lot of big tours that come into town. And the fact that a lot of people are switching to e-cigarettes, it's one thing that keeps people in the venue. I'm an opener. Nobody's going to spend time to stick around in the venue. A lot of people head outside. The bad thing that I see with this is now the people that this could reach to help get to quit smoking, when you're forcing us to go outside to vape with the smokers, the potential smokers that would switch to this product are now looking at it as it's just as bad to start vaping because they're forced to be outside because it's not safe. And in my case, it's been the only thing that's helped me and helped improve my breathing. And I've recently been to a doctor where he checked my lungs and he told me, he says, "You're still doing the e-cigarette?" He said, "Keep it up because your lungs are almost to the point where they look like a non-smoker." So to say that this is poisoning people secondhand is, I just think it's kind of ridiculous. And that's all I want to say about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Henry Starzinski.
Hello, my name is Henry Skazinski. I'm 24 years old, and I've been vaping for about 3 years, and I smoked ever since I was 14 years old, and I did try to quit a lot, very stressfully and very unsuccessfully, and vaping was something that was a very easy switch to actually make the transition, and with all these basically with all these regulations coming into play, it would make, honestly, switching over to vaping, it's so difficult that, I mean, it's kind of comparable. They're making vaping comparable to cigarettes, whereas there's no proof to really even show that any of that, holds any water. So, and I'm gonna be real short, I don't have anything prepared. I'm just, basically coming from the heart. I have a son. I have an 8-month-old son, and I quit smoking, and I've stayed off of cigarettes, and I've stayed with vaping because I want to stay alive for my son, and I know that from the studies that have been going on, it's nothing comparable to what cigarettes have caused to my body through the years that I've smoked them. So I will continue to vape, and I will continue to do it for my son, because I believe that if I kept going with cigarettes, which I plan to, keep using a nicotine substance, I'm just much safer. I'm much safer using this, and I think to take that away would be very unfair to everyone that is a customer of this product. So, thank you very much for hearing me today.
Thank you. Gregory Minkowitz.
First, I want to thank Mr. Goldcrest for having us out here today to, voice our opinions on everything being set forward. I'm in the same boat as Henry. I didn't come here with anything prepared, but I choose to speak from the heart as well, because this is something I find I have a huge passion for. I'm not the only one. You see, this room is filled with people today. If this was held at a time where a lot of people could get off work, this room would probably be 3-4 times the size right now. As far as talking about the health factors and stuff like that, the thing that a lot of people don't want to be said is electronic cigarettes are tobacco products. There's nothing in between the two other than nicotine. And electronic cigarettes, not all of them have nicotine. So how are they alike any other way? They're not. One's combustible, one's vaporization. Two completely different scientific methods. You're talking about combustion. You're talking about a crude combustion. Yeah, that's something that can affect your lungs. It can cause damage over time, organic and even permanent damage. It can lead you into a lifestyle that you don't want to live. You find yourself restricted from daily things, just like walking out to get the paper. You walk inside, you're extremely winded, and you don't want to live that way. No one does. I look towards this and I hear the stories that people are saying, and I can relate as well. I've previously just lost my grandmother, grandfather, and father because smoking, pretty much. Blood pressure became a huge issue between them. And we're all polarized. We're hard-headed a little bit. They didn't stick to the medication, but if they didn't have the habit to get into that state, they would never need medication to regulate their blood pressure as it is. I look towards my mother, who I've actually, since that's happened, I've actually got her onto electronic cigarettes. I actually almost lost my mother about 2 years ago. If it wasn't for them drilling 2 holes in her head to get some blood out of there, pretty much it would have been the end of her. I sit here and I hear the things people are saying. You want to say there's studies coming out, but the question is, why are they being debunked every day? You're coming out with a study saying you're finding this and then you're finding that, and then the next day an independent study comes out and they're saying, well, we just want to know the factors. We want to know the variables. How are you guys finding this? When we ask for such things, we're not being told. Especially with Mr. Savage, we tried directly contacting him. We tried in every way that, we were set forward, emails, phone, calling over the phone, anything, showing up for the hearings. Last time I got to see him at the last hearing, we were voting this through, we voted through 9-1. I got to speak to Mr. Savage for all of 45 seconds. I got to say, hi, how are you doing? I even told him, I was like, I'm glad to know that you're here, glad to know that you exist, but he never gave us a time of day to comment beforehand. I don't want to keep going all day. I could rant on forever, but I just want to leave it like this. If you're going to go through and you're going to make a regulation like this, let's have some facts on the actual table. Let's find something we can actually make a decision with justification based on knowledge that we found previously. Let's not wrap it up into tobacco, which we've been studying for years, and say it's the same thing and just do away with it. Let's show people that it actually is an alternative that we can embrace. It's a technology that we need to embrace. You talk about how many people have died day in and day out from this. Let's start taking steps in the right direction. That's all I have to say.
Hey, Paul Smith.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Paul Smith. I'm the corporate production manager. I run the corporate laboratory for an exterior crafted by Juicy Vapor. Before I really get into my personal story, which is a 7-year history of using these products, I'd like to kind of reiterate what Mr. McCavich just said. I personally emailed Mr. Savage on a number of occasions and said to him, I run one of the biggest corporate laboratories in New York State. I can offer you a level of information that you may not get just thumbing around the Google machine, and I can answer whatever questions you might have. Never got a return email, never got a phone call. I offered my personal number and my business number, and I would just like to believe that research is done before you just start comparing apples and oranges, which is really what the county legislature has done with us. Vaping has nothing to do with tobacco. We have a lot more in common with Best Buy than we do with Philip Morris, because we use electronic devices and we're vaporizing a liquid, not burning a combustible. My old tongue-in-cheek thing for folks about vaping was always this: when a fireman runs in a burning building, he has a lot of equipment. He has an axe, he has a hose, he has fire-retardant clothes. But the most important thing he has is a respirator. Why? Breathing in smoke is a horrible idea. That's why we, as vapors, have made the switch from tobacco products to vaping, because it's a healthier option. It's a better alternative. And I worry, as one of those guys who spent his college career acquiring a degree in philosophy just so I can prove to my parents that I was getting a useless degree. If you're gonna make me go, I'm gonna come back with something that means very little. But I can sit home and think deep thoughts about not having a job in philosophy. But when you compare these things out, ask yourself these questions. Why has the Attorney General of the United States of America said recently there's some very positive signs about the vaping industry? This should be researched far further. The former Surgeon General of the United States of America is now on the board of directors of the Enjoy Corporation. In case you're not aware, Enjoy is one of the largest e-cig manufacturers in the world.
About 30 seconds, Paul.
Okay, thank you. So if these surgeon generals are saying, let's do more homework, it's probably best that we do that. And we provided the legislature with current studies that show that secondhand vapor is not a significant anything. And we were run roughshod over by a decision to try to eliminate confusion. It's impossible to create laws to eliminate confusion. The world is a confusing place. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Lee Smith.
Hello, my name is Lee Smith. I am a Human Resources Manager for Exteria. I personally am not a smoker and am not a vapor, but I am around it on a daily basis with my job, my husband who just spoke, and you will hear numerous stories on how this has changed people's lives. I know from a personal aspect, my husband has been vaping for 7 years. We've been together for 20. In those 20 years, he suffered from bronchitis at least twice a year, and the 7 years since he's been vaping, hasn't had it once. So something has changed. Something has become positive because of his switch to vaping. And on his note, I just think this needs time. This bill does not need to be passed. This law does not need to be passed right now. Let the research come out. Let the studies be done. Give it some more time instead of, again, throwing vaping in with smoking, in with cigarettes. If you're going to pass a law or a ban, make it completely separate. Make it a completely separate thing from cigarette smoking, from smoking, because it should not be the same. It is not the same. It is not tobacco. It is not smoke. It should be put in a completely different category because again, you don't want the confusion and the negative image of it, because it is something that is changing people's lives and helping. So I just ask for some more time. Not to say that something can't be passed at a future date, but at this point in time, just the studies and the research has not come out to prove either way, so give it a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew Kraska.
Hi, thank you for allowing us to speak today. My name is Matthew Kraska, and I'm speaking on behalf of Nexteria and Tonawanda. I will keep this short and down to the point. Smoking is dangerous and known to hurt or kill the one smoking or around the smoke. Vaping does not. I've been working at a vape shop and around vaping for about 2 years. The past 2 years I've got thousands of people completely off of cigarettes. I also hear countless people speak about how much better they have felt with switching to vaping, myself included. I haven't heard anyone say they feel worse after vaping, not once. There are over 70-year-olds that come in to my shop, smoked for 50 plus years. They completely quit smoking and they feel awesome. Passing this bill would not make any sense at all. You would be putting vapors and smokers in the same category, and they're two completely different things. Sometimes vapor might look like smoke, but it's definitely totally different. Studies have shown vaping is bad. Some studies have shown that vaping is good. I would not be upset if it is guaranteed and proven vaping harms, but if we are not 100% positive, please do not pass this bill. You could be potentially harming more people than protecting the people if this passes. Instead of doing studies on machines at levels no one will ever vape at, try studies on people that vape and are in vapor about 24 hours of the day, kind of like myself and the other people here. Please have some sense. Smoking kills, vaping does not. Do not pass this bill. We could possibly have the greatest invention known to man here. Thank you.
Adam, and I can't read the last name. Colossum, maybe.
Coliseum.
All right, that's all right then.
All right. Thanks for having us here today. My name is Adam Colosimo. I've been vaping for a little bit over a year now. I was a smoker since about age 16, maybe a little bit before that. I was smoking about a pack a day until I was about 21, which was last year. I'm 22 now. And I knew something needed to change. I was waking up wheezing. I wasn't asthmatic prior to that, so I knew I had asthma going into smoking. So switching to e-cigs was definitely a beneficial thing in my life. It has helped me get over that. I have not had any asthma issues over that time. I was a chronic bronchitis person too, and no longer do I have that. I work for Nexteria now, and it has been a life-changing experience to work there and watch people come through those doors every day. People who are ages from 18 all the way to 65 and older. People who have smoked for 50 plus years come in there and they've quit smoking. And they tell us, you know, we've never felt better, we could breathe better, I could smell someone smoking a cigarette a mile away now because of everything just, you know, changes. You're no more, that's what I'm looking for, you're not congested anymore by that smoke. And I don't think it is great for you to pass this law because it's literally putting us in the same boat as those smokers. It is scaring a lot of people away from e-cigarette use. And that's the big fact, is that you're scaring the public into the same category as smoking. They think that's bad. They know that's bad. There's been plenty of research done to prove that cigarettes are bad for you. We've known that for many of years. So now is the time where we have to look to the future, and this is the future. We have to change. We have to make the laws accordingly. We can't just throw it under the same bus as what a smoker would have. And that's basically where I stand in this, and that's how I feel about it. And that's really it.
Thank you. David Kiefer.
Gentlemen, I'm David Kiefer II. I have no skin in this game. I'm just an ordinary citizen. Anyway, I got a letter published in everybody's column on the 23rd of February, and I could presume that any of you read it or that any of you would remember if you did read it. Actually, if you let me stretch out my long arm here and pat myself in the back, I guess. It turned out to be the driving theme of the Sandy Beach show that same day. But anyway, I'd like to read the letter to you, just in case you didn't see it or don't remember it. Here we go. All right. I didn't give it the title. Buffalo News gave it the title. There is no reason to ban use of e-cigarettes in public. This is the part I wrote. The Buffalo Common Council has jumped on the hysteria bandwagon, and it appears that the county legislature is about to follow suit, all in the name of public health. E-cigarettes are a nicotine delivery system where the nicotine remains in the user's body and the vaporizing agent, either propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin, and a trace of the flavoring agent are exhaled. Coincidentally, smoker fog machines used in clubs and at concerts also use propylene glycol to produce the room full of smoke. Will these likewise be banned, or is this just another instance of the cynical pandering that we've come to expect from our politicians? Please excuse me for the gratuitous slight.
No offense taken.
Well, maybe this one you won't. I'm betting on the latter. And, oh, by the way, I don't vape. When I didn't know what I was getting into when I came here. I didn't know whether it was going to be a give and take or what it was going to be, because I was coming here to ask to please help me understand why a minute amount of this propylene glycol is going to be banned, yet a room full of it wasn't going to be banned. Well, I might be missing something, but help me understand this. It turns out it isn't a give and take. So the other thing I was thinking of maybe making a proposal that there be an exception made for clubs and live music venues where they have the smoke machines to allow the people to vape. Anyway, in the meantime, I decided to do a little research on my own. I print out on the back of something else because I'm a cheapskate. But anyway, I found out that it's used in food coloring. It's used in inhalers.
About 30 seconds.
Okay, it's used in inhalers. It is used in antifreeze, but it's used in the environmentally safe antifreeze. The stuff that I was too cheap to put into my RV until I froze a water line. Now I use it. It's that pink stuff. Anyway, but I noticed nobody so far has brought up anything about government overreach or the nanny state. But I'm not Tea Party guy. I'm a third generation liberal Democrat. I've raised 2 more generations of liberal Democrats. But how far are we going to take this? I heard by hearsay that Peter Savage finds visually irritating. I imagine people find the vapor irritating too. But what are we going to do? We're going to ban all irritants? My oldest daughter is sensitive to perfume. You're going to ban perfume? I mean, ban all irritants? Then I'm in a bit of trouble myself because a lot of people find me an irritant. You're going to have to ban me. Thank you for your time.
Jacob Canistraro.
Hello, my name is Jacob Canistraro. I work on behalf of Perfection Vapes. I make the e-liquid there, and I also handle the front desk selling to customers. To keep it real short, I just want to say that I oppose the banning of electronic cigarettes indoor with the facts that we have provided. I do believe more studies need to take place before we kind of put an end to this. That's really all I got.
Victor Canistraro.
Hi, I'm Victor Canistraro. I represent Perfection Vapes in Depew, New York. I am against you guys banning the electronic cigarettes. Like the gentleman said before, you go to a club, there's fog machines, propylene glycol. People dance all night, they're sweating, perfectly fine. What you guys, just an idea, is come up with like an idea of coming up with like a piece of paper, putting it in the business window, saying we allow vaping here, or we do not allow vaping. If a smoker doesn't want to go into a place where it says you can vape, we go to another bar where they don't allow, where they do allow it. really all I've got though right now.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Danielle Gratz.
I'm Dana Fox, and I work at Perfection Bakes in Depew, New York. I just want to say that I never really realized how much smoking has affected me until I started smoking again after I had my son, and I had to find a way to quit, and I went to vaping. I now feel a lot better. I can play with my son. I can, go to the gym, and realizing how much I feel better, I guess I want to say I opposed the ban of vaping.
Thank you. Jason Close up.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm here with Perfection Vapes. Basically, I just think that this all should be just left up to the business owners. I don't think that having one set law across the whole county is the right way to go. A lot of places I can see, sure, movie theaters, you don't want to see big crowds vaping in movie theaters, but some restaurants, some bars, concert halls, other places, not everywhere does it need to be banned. And I agree with having like a sticker in the window idea. We agree with vaping here, we don't like vaping here. It should be left up to the owners. And that's the way it is right now. I go into places, I ask before I start vaping, do you guys allow vaping here? Yes, no, whichever it is, I go with it. And I feel that's the way it should be. That's all I have, guys.
Bill Godshall.
Greetings from Pittsburgh, and thank you for letting me testify. I'm Bill Godshall, founder and executive director of Smoke Free Pennsylvania. Since 1990, we've campaigned to ban smoking in workplaces, stop cigarette marketing to youth, increased cigarette tax rates, and many other things to help smokers quit smoking. For disclosure, neither Smoke Free Pennsylvania nor I have ever received any funding from any tobacco, drug, or e-cigarette company. In sharp contrast to the fear-mongering claims by entities funded by Big Pharma, the scientific and empirical evidence has found that nicotine vapor products are 99% less hazardous than cigarettes, have never been associated with any disease, and pose no health risks to non-users. Nicotine vapor products have already replaced about 2 billion packs of cigarettes in the United States in the past 6 years, and nearly all vapor products have been consumed by smokers and by ex-smokers who switched to vaping. 2 new surveys found that 3 and 4 million U.S. smokers respectively are no longer regular smokers thanks to vapor products, which are at least as effective for smoking cessation as FDA-approved NRT products, the gums, patches, lozenges, which have a 95% failure rate. Public health benefits every time a smoker vapes instead of smoking a cigarette. In regards to air quality, all of the following things emit more indoor air pollution than does an e-cigarette. Smokers' clothes and hair, cooking, glues and paint, carpeting and most furniture, household cleaning products, dry clean clothes, including the one I just picked up from the dry cleaner here, hairsprays, perfumes, cosmetics, air fresheners, and even a cup of coffee and a cup of tea emit more air pollution than an e-cigarette. Although those things pose negligible health risks to the public, anyone who truly desires to reduce indoor air pollution would lobby to ban them before targeting e-cigarettes. I urge you to veto this proposed vaping ban because it protects cigarette markets, takes away the rights of all Erie County employers to establish their own vaping and smoking cessation policies, demonizes vapors, and encourages them to switch back to deadly cigarettes, and discourages smokers from quitting smoking. The proposed vaping ban would force many vapors to go outside and be exposed to secondhand smoke that they desperately try to avoid, and would deceive the public to inaccurately believe that vaping is just as hazardous as cigarette smoking. Vapor products benefit many employers and managements because workers don't waste time on smoke breaks. Vaping helps employees quit smoking and reduces employer health care costs, and customers don't have to go outside for a smoke. In sharp contrast to the proposed vaping ban, the proposed vaping ban would pit employers against employees. Finally, it's impossible to enforce vaping bans, as users can eliminate all visible vapor by simply holding their breath for 2 seconds after they inhale.
30 seconds.
In sum, banning vaping threatens public health, protects cigarette companies, creates many new lawbreakers, and increases resentment of government and elected officials. Thank you very much.
I second that. Andrew Osborne.
I'll apologize ahead of time because I'm very emotional right now. As many of the people in this room are expecting me, expecting me to do. I've been up here pretending to be a politician. I've been pretending to be a scientist. I've been in this suit, and I've been in these county offices more than I've been in my own retail shop. I'm the owner of Vapor Trail Electronics in South Buffalo, for the record. And finally today, I'd like to tell my story, because I think my story is finally relevant to this law and to this legislation. If you go back about 9 years ago, my best friend at the time and my now business partner took up electronic cigarettes. And at that time, they looked a little like this pen here, and they were kind of space age. You know, this was new technology, and people didn't know if it was safe. And the first thing that I said 9 years ago, when CJ had that and handed it to me to try it, I said, "Psh, this is just one habit for another. This is still smoking. What are you doing? You didn't quit." And at that time, I made it my mission. I tried patches, gums, toothpicks. I mean, I tried everything except hypnosis, which I don't think is real. But I tried everything. And when I finally got about 3 years later, I became what is called now as a dual user. Many of the statistics that you hear about for electronic cigarette users do not account for dual users. That would be the person who is in the process of transitioning from combustible tobacco products to vapor products. I was in that position when my mother passed away. Excuse me. At 53 years of age, we had to put my mother in the ground. And it was from undiagnosed early onset emphysema. When I was a child, I had COPD. Then it was called chronic bronchitis. At 14, I traded in my inhaler for a pack of cigarettes, which I used for 20 years until I found this product. And this product has saved my life. And not only do I feel that this product has saved my life, but if I knew about this product when I was 11 years old, like that little girl over there, I'm going to save my mother's life. And I'll be damned if anything is going to go that's going to change the public perception of our product, because our product is saving lives on a daily basis by the thousands. And not only, I could speak about how this infringes on my business, on the bowling alley and the barber shop and all these people, offices, debt collectors. They should be allowed to keep the productivity and let their people vape. I don't care about any of that. I care about the smokers that have a 50-50 shot of surviving the product that they use. We listen to Roswell doctors speak on this countless times. Roswell themselves has stated, and I quote, "Vapor products are 9 to 450 times less harmful than traditional tobacco products."
30 seconds, sir.
If we are going to stand by, let's average that. Let's say it's 225 times less harmful than tobacco products. If we're going to make a law that will make any smoker in Erie County right now have that same mindset that I had 9 years ago, this is just one habit for another. It looks like smoking, it must still be smoking. If everyone is going to be robbed of their opportunity to use this product, then I not only do not want to sell vapor products anymore, I'm not sure I want to live in Erie County anymore. And I'll close just with one last thing. We spoke about Peter Savage. I was one of the individuals who was lucky enough to get time with Mr. Savage. And I will let everyone know that he gave me my time, he listened to what we had to say, and he provided some relevant points. But I also did a little homework myself about Peter Savage, and I'm going to close with saying that you may already know, Mr. Polenkars, that Peter Savage, much like all of the residents of Erie County, he does not have our best interests in mind. A few years back, he did not have your best interests in mind. And I think the fact that he's an unelected member of our legislature has caused a serious rift in positive and sensible legislation in this county. And whether this passes or whether this doesn't, I know that vapors are going to vote. We're going to have registration forms on every counter in every vape shop, and anyone who stood behind this will have to go in lieu of sensible legislators who will make laws that are for the people and not against public health. Thank you very much. Sorry I went over.
Lisa Tallarico.
My name is Lisa. I'm with Exotic Papers. I believe that it should be left up to the business's discretion whether it be allowed in their business or not. And I'm nervous about speaking in front of people. I'm sorry. I have COPD and emphysema. I have been non-smoking. Yesterday was 2 years. I don't take any medications anymore. I don't have any breathing treatments anymore. I don't use inhalers anymore. And it's all because of this product. And for the studies that are coming out saying how bad it is, and I'm proof that it's not. I'm living proof that it's not. I can run up and down stairs again. I can play with my grandkids again. This has been life-changing for me. And it's been life-changing for all my customers. My customers, cancer patients come in, heart patients come in, the doctors are sending them in, and they're coming back feeling really good. So it has to be doing something positive. And I think it should be left up to the business owners. It should not be a law that we can't vape, because I don't want to be outside with the smokers. I don't want secondhand smoke. And that's all I have to say.
Michael Gowell.
Thank you for taking your time to hear us today. My name is Michael Gowell. I'm a CPA with an office on Transit Road. I currently allow my clients to vape in the waiting room, and no one has ever complained. I allow my employees to vape at their desks, and I find it makes them more productive. They don't have to go outside in the cold and the snow. And during tax season right now, we need to be as productive as possible. In my conference room, we allow clients and the employees to vape. No one has ever complained there. I find that just like a cup of coffee, it makes the meeting go a little better. I have informed my clients, my employees though, that if a client or someone complains about the vaping, they just stop vaping at the desk. Wait till that client leaves. But we've never had a complaint. Again, personal vaporizers are not smoking. There's no flame. PG and VG, some flavor, maybe nicotine, maybe no nicotine. If this bill does pass, workers who vape currently will be sent outside with those smokers, exposed to secondhand smoke, exposed to that hanging outside in front of the building with the smokers. The perception will be that vaping is as bad as smoking, and I think people out there, they may tend to go back to smoking, especially people who are transitioning. Those people who are half smoking, half vaping, they may try a cigarette again or go back there. I think we should allow businesses to decide. Not only bars and restaurants, but office buildings. Like as the owner of the building or the owner of the business, I like to have my employees vape if they want to, have the option. Not sending them outside, especially in this cold weather we've had over the last month. Again, for a little bit of science, and I can't touch these guys over here. The current Surgeon General has quoted as saying we should embrace electronic cigarettes as possibly the single greatest tool to combat smoking and traditional cigarettes. Additionally, the former Surgeon General under Bush, President Bush, who sought to make all smoking illegal, has since joined the largest e-cigarette manufacturer in America, is now on their board of directors. As a CPA, I have a number of clients who either manufacture or sell e-cigarettes. Many of them, one has 14 employees here in Erie County. They manufacture right here in Erie County. Some of these other people manufacture right here in Erie County. I think if Erie County bans the public use of e-cigarettes, they're either going to move to Pennsylvania or they're going to move on to the reservation, and Erie County is going to lose that tax revenue. And also those employees who actually pay payroll taxes and other taxes. Thank you.
Charles Johnson.
public hearing, Miss Williams, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say who I am. Charles Johnson. I'm one of the owners of Vapor Trail. Miss Williams is the legislator for my district. She stand up against this bill and she said, just in case, to be safe, we want this bill to go in effect. Just in case. Last week, I had a dream that one of my employees, David, stole from me, okay? Just in case, should I fire him? We shouldn't be making laws in just in cases. We know smoking's bad. Studies have come out that this is good, studies have come out as bad. Science should be working with one another to debate. When we elect a president, there's a debate. Why? So we can get facts straight, so this person would say this person say that, and then you know the final verdict at the end. The sun can give you cancer. Just in case, let's make a law that you can't go outside, because that sun might give you cancer. All I'm saying is this is pretty silly on a just in case. I want you to know I might not be a threat to anybody because I am not a registered voter. And I promise you this year, I will be voting. And I see hundreds of people every day that are just like me that don't vote. Just in case, I will make sure they vote this year. Thank you very much.
4. Anthony, I can't make it. Yeah, I can't make out the list.
County Executive Volunteers, members of the Erie County Government, all others. My name is Anthony Bellani. I reside in Kenmore, New York. I'm here with Tobacco Free Western New York at Roswell Park Cancer Institute. The New York State Clean Indoor Air Act is among the great successes in health legislation in recent memories. After being in place just a couple years, hospital admissions for heart attacks in New York State went down by 15%. After 10 years, compliance in restaurants is 100%, and in bars, it is 99%. Even smokers agree by nearly 60% that clean, smoke-free air is preferable. At the 5th and 10th anniversary, officials from the Western New York Restaurant Association stood with health leaders touting the success of a law they once vigorously protested. In the late 90s, Erie County with Suffolk County and Long Island were leaders in enacting beginning clean air rules well ahead of the state. Today, New York City, along with Suffolk, Tompkins, and Cattaraugus counties, and numerous municipalities across the U.S. have taken the early, positive step to include e-cigarettes, a device that simulates smoking, in their clean air laws. Numerous studies show that e-cigarettes are not harmless vapor. It contains formaldehyde and heavy metals. It may not be smoke. It may not be smoke, but it is not clean air either. Like the vape shop business community members here today, I agree. They are not in common with tobacco. They are a lot more in common, as Mr. Godsell said, with nicotine replacement therapy. And at least one study that I've shown is that e-cigarettes are no better or worse than other nicotine replacement. And it's worthy to note that tobacco companies also asked for more time to study the issue during clean indoor air and during the debate over whether tobacco caused cancer or not. Tobacco Free Western New York is part of the New York State Department of Health Control program. Our goal is to drive down tobacco use in adults and prevent use from starting. While use of cigarettes continues to go down in youth and adults, we've seen startling statistics showing increases in e-cigarette initiation among our youth. Tobacco Free Western New York is in favor of policies that cause tobacco and all tobacco-related products, and e-cigarettes almost always contain nicotine,
30 seconds.
To be used away from others to prevent illness caused by the unwanted secondhand inhalation of another's dangerous emission, be it from smoke, be it smoke from tobacco, or a chemical-laden emission from an e-cigarette. Thank you today.
Joanna Jacob.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanna Jacob, and I am testifying on behalf of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, otherwise known as ACS-CAN. ACS-CAN strongly supports the electronic cigarette law passed by the Erie County legislature last month for the following reasons. First of all, the aggressive marketing and promotion of e-cigarettes to youth is well documented, and evidence shows rapid growth in youth e-cigarette use, including disturbing rates among youth who have never smoked a cigarette. Secondly, manufacturers of e-cigarettes are making a range of false and unproven claims, misleading the public into thinking these products are harmless, which they are not, and that they are effective cessation aids, which is unknown. Finally, there is already good evidence that e-cigarette emissions release several toxic substances into the environment that cause harm to health. Excuse me. These substances include ultrafine particles, propylene glycol, tobacco-specific nitrosamines, nicotine, volatile organic compounds, otherwise known as VOCs, carcinogens, and reproductive toxins, including benzene, lead, nickel, and others. Continuing to allow e-cigarettes to be used in indoor spaces like workplaces, bars, and restaurants could result in significant exposure to these substances. We applaud the Erie County's legislature for taking action which we believe will help prevent initiation among youth and other non-tobacco users and protect bystanders in public areas from involuntary exposure. We encourage you to sign on to this law. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can say something, folks, I would just ask, everybody has been very, very cordial to each other. If you disagree with an individual, you have an opportunity to disagree with them, but I'd rather hear you state it individually than saying it while they're speaking. Just give everyone an opportunity to speak. Everyone's going to have an opportunity to speak. Okay?
Ian Billings.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Ian Billings. I am a Niagara County resident. I am here representing Mountain Oak Vapors, New York. My company has been in the e-liquid and electronic cigarette business for coming up on 5 years now. I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, but after the last two presentations, I think I'm going to say something a little bit different. Number one, first and foremost, is facts should determine how we make our laws. Is this true? Is that true? How do we know? The only way we really do know is through research. And the fact remains that, unfortunately, it's really easy for a media outlet to misrepresent the findings of a study, the formaldehyde study which was mentioned. It's also really easy to say there are these things and that things in whatever I want, but I say, if you want to know the truth, ask for the source. If they can't cite the source, there is no truth. The ban on public use is, it's taking something a step further. Right now, the way things are, if a business wants you to not use that product, not use a vapor product in their business, they can ask you not to do it. And if you choose to do it and refuse their request to stop, they can already call the police and have you escorted off the premises. When I went to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert with my 7-year-old daughter, I walked in the door and they said to me, if you have an electronic cigarette device, please don't use it in here. And I did. I had one in my pocket and I turned it off and I didn't use it. And then they proceeded to set up fireworks and smoke machines all throughout, which use the same things, you know, whatever, except for fireworks. That's already here. It's already in place. The only thing that this ban does is it takes it a step further so that now we can discriminate against people and force them to do something. And really the net effect of this is going to be that people who are smokers that want to try this product to quit, they're stuck in a boat where they're going to think, well, if the legislature is supporting a ban on this, it must be bad for me. They're not gonna waste their time looking at the facts. That's the only purpose behind this. And it's just astounding to me that this has been proposed when there's really no scientific evidence to support this. I sent Mr. Polenkars an email this morning with a whole bunch of sources cited. Feel free to look at the information that I sent.
30 seconds.
I guess I'll just finish with this. As a couple of the other people here stated, I won't give you my story. My story is not relevant. What is relevant is this is a wedge issue. This will be a single issue voter situation. You will have massive amounts of people. For every person in this room, there are 15 people that couldn't make it today, and they will all stand up against somebody who supports this. The actions taken here will not be forgotten. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Christian Talley.
I'm Chris Staley. I'm a manager for Majestic Vapors in Niagara Falls. Every single person in this room has a couple things in common, whether you're a vapor or not. None of us are smokers. And we all have something that drives us to want to be healthier in our lives, whether it's kids, parents, grandparents, you know, kids on the way. I was a 2-pack-a-day smoker for about 8 years. My mom has been 3-pack-a-day for 43 years. She has COPD, she has trouble breathing, she coughs violently all day, and she may never see her grandkids because of it. Or at least she used to until she quit vaping. And she put down the cigarettes almost overnight. And it meant the absolute world to me. She can breathe, she's active now, she may one day see a grandkid. I've got my sense of taste back, my sense of smell back. I have multiple customers every day that come in that tell me, you have changed my life. There's a woman by the name of Kathy Oates that comes in. She had stage 2 lung cancer. She went through chemo, she quit smoking, she started vaping, and she told me yesterday, she said, you personally, you have saved my life. Every person in this room, in this industry, can tell you the same story because we have all heard it. We have a large number of people every day that think we are almost like a godsend to these people because an addiction that controls their life, we gave them the power to get, their control back. By banning it where you ban smoking is saying to people who smoke, there is no hope for you. If it doesn't come out of a box, it's not sold over a counter, and it's not taxed to hell, you will not be able to quit smoking. I've tried everything. I've tried Chantix, I've tried Nicorette, Wellbutrin, I've tried the patch. None of those worked for me, and I've tried since I was 19 years old. I'm 27 now. Vaping, when I started it, I did not quit smoking immediately. It took maybe 2 days, so almost. And I have not had a cigarette in almost 2 years. My mom, I haven't seen her have a cigarette in, 4 months, which is fantastic. It's the best thing ever about my job and vaping for me, is that she will be fine eventually. I've lost a grandmother to smoking, and I really do not want to lose my mom the same way. Everybody in this room, we just want to be healthy, and please consider when you do discuss this that you have a room full of people who feel a product has changed their lives and saved their lives, and if you take that away, it will feel almost hopeless for not just every person in this room, but for everybody who ever has tried to quit smoking. All we want to do is we want to live. It's that easy. Thank you.
Has everyone spoken who wishes the opportunity to do so? Come on up.
Fill out the info.
I'm signing your name as you represent.
My name is Sam Goodwin. I've been vaping for about 4 years now. was gonna email this, but I found it would be better to come speak on it. I used to smoke about a pack and a half a day for almost 7 years. A friend introduced me to Vapor Trail in July of 2011, and since I purchased my first device, I have not had a single cigarette. The rate I was at, there's over 40,000 cigarettes I haven't smoked. I did this because I lost 3 grandparents to cancer that can almost certainly be attributed to smoking. I did this for them. The majority of my family still does smoke, unfortunately, due to the ineffectiveness of FDA-approved smoking cessation devices. I do not, nor have I ever worked for a retail establishment, so I have no interest in this financially or anything besides the health of myself and my loved ones, including about 10 close friends who have also quit smoking because of e-cigarettes. Because of this, I've done extensive research on the health effects. Every time a negative study comes up, I look into it to make sure I'm not ingesting anything potentially toxic. There have been negative studies, which I'm sure you're aware of, pertaining to formaldehyde and vapor. It's obviously since been proven to be a skewed study that was under abnormal conditions and with the help of a machine. Under normal circumstances, there have been 0 negative effects found in either the directly inhaled or secondhand vapor. Actually, I want to bring up something I remember from previous hearings. The doctors were speaking against this actually made me lose a little faith in our healthcare system. The formaldehyde was proven false, and that was brought up, which shows a lack of research. I remember the looks on all the other legislators' faces when more than one person, as today, mentioned heavy metals such as chromium in the vapor. Now, I didn't go to school for 8 years to get a PhD, but I'm fairly certain that chromium is a base element, as is nickel, as was mentioned. I did, however, complete 6th grade, in which we learned the periodic tables and that you cannot vaporize a liquid and magically produce a base element that wasn't there to begin with. These are the experts that are opposing this. I do not understand how one can pass legislation over something saying it's in the best interest of everyone besides the ones that proposed the bill, or anyone with a vested interest in it without having actual proof. This is about health and people quitting smoking. Until there is any definitive proof that there are any side effects besides lost tax income and loss of business to big tobacco and pharmaceutical companies, it makes no sense to ban me from vaping respectfully in public places. Forcing people who have quit smoking back into the corner with the people that still smoke and exposing us to the chemicals that we have worked so hard to get away from makes no sense. It is not a tobacco product. It's like saying you can't eat a sandwich and dry it because the yeast in the bread is the same ingredient that activates fermentation and alcohol. Until there is proof of danger, this is all because it looks like smoking. And I'm pretty sure we ended banning something based on looks and false information in 1964. Some people don't like it, and it should be left up to the establishments as to whether they will allow it or not the lawmakers that bring up legislation based on personal vendettas. If this is proven to be detrimental to health, I'll be one of the first people there with you spreading correct information. But I ask you to consider what you're doing before passing something that will almost certainly put many tax-paying businesses out of business by categorizing them with something lethal that we have been trying so hard to get people to quit so that our children have a better chance of growing up knowing their grandparents just because it looks like something that people didn't like.
Any further comments? Come on up here.
Just like, need you to fill that out.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us to speak today. I just have a few things to say.
What's your name?
My name is Brandon Maines, and I work with Nexteria, also known as Juicy Vapor. And I wasn't originally going to come up to say anything, but from what I heard from a few of these speakers is a few negative things that I'd like to speak up on. Now, I am only 21 years old. I turn 22 at the end of the month. I do my research before I look into something. I started smoking because I worked at a restaurant. And if you know any servers or bartenders, you'd know that it's a pretty common thing. And my mother explained to me before that she was a smoker and quitting was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. And she did it because of me. Now, I wanted to stop before things got really bad, so I found vaping. And I went through the whole process, and I did my research before I went in. And you hear all these people saying, oh, it's targeting youth. Well, sure, the level of youth vapors is going up, but the level of youth smokers is also decreasing. Now, I don't know about you, but I would choose the lesser of the two evils. Now, when it comes to indoors and keeping clean air, it's more of a common courtesy than it is a choice for people. You should know that if you go into an establishment, you don't automatically have the right to be blowing clouds into the air. Now, whether people have that, idea in their head is a different story. It's all about how they were raised. But all these ingredients in the e-liquid that we use, vegetable glycerin, easily available at any Walmart you walk into. Propylene glycol, base in fog machines. It's the base in asthmatic inhalers. What's the harm in that? Now, the flavor extracts, they are all food grade, and nicotine isn't even an essential ingredient in this. And there was talk about the metals being given off in vapor. Now, I looked this up because I was curious myself. Oh, I'm inhaling metal, it's probably not good. The amount of metals in the vapor is minuscule compared to what is in pharmaceutical grade inhalants. Now, with the formaldehyde, the study was just unreasonable.
30 seconds.
And it was not given realistic things. And what it comes down to is keeping people educated. If people understand what they're putting into their own bodies, it is their choice. And if you can't give people the right to choose what they want to do to themselves, then there's something wrong on a different level. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Any further comments? No.
Start that meeting without. Good. What's your name?
David Mack. Well, pretty much. I mean, I know 2 people came up here and spoke against electronic cigarettes, but I don't know how many people are here for electronic cigarettes. I mean, I'm betting at least 95 to 100% of people here are for electronic cigarettes being vapable in public places, if the owner of the establishment is okay with that. Formaldehyde in juice. I used to hear stories about people taking cigarettes and dipping them in formaldehyde and smoking them to get high. I don't get high off of vaping, so I don't know where the formaldehyde is in my e-cigarette, but I must not feel it very much. I don't think that it's smart to pass a bill based on things that we don't look into, or assuming just creates issues. It's something that we shouldn't do, especially politically. Any time that's in politics, we should never assume. But overall, I just think that we should do more studies on it. That's something that we should definitely look into. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for having us.
You could sign in, please, sir.
First, my name is Robert Thompson, and I'm a CETA, a Certified Electronics Technician. I'm well known in the community, vaporizer community, as Dr. Bob. I'm not employed by any vaporizer store anywhere in the industry. I'm a technician for High Fidelity Records. The reason they call me Dr. Bob is for the last 3.5 years since the passing of my father due to stage 4 lung cancer, I've been an advocate and also a promoter of electronic cigarettes. As my health has grown wonderfully since then, I'm now able to run with my puppies, climb the stairs a multitude of times, carrying boxes, just doing whatever I need to do to get through my day without stopping to have a cigarette. I no longer wake up in the morning and look for my pack of cigarettes. It's some time before I even find my vaporizer. It'll be buried in the couch. But the reason they're calling me Dr. Bob is because I take the time, I volunteer for near 20 hours a week at Vapies. I even make appearances at the local vaporizer stores to see if I can do anything to help the public pass good information along and build, rebuild, repair their devices, keep them going, do whatever I can to keep them off of that horrible tobacco and to keep them, smoke-free. The ban on e-cigs would really, truly frown on my efforts and my endeavors in the last 3.5 years to try to help the public the best that I can as a voluntary effort, just to reach out to the smokers and say there's an alternative, people. You know, I do a weekly event where I spin vinyl free for the vets and the local public to come down. We call Vape and Vinyl. Please come down and talk about your experiences with vaping and what it's done for you, what's positive and what's negative about this, and what can we do to help make the industry a better place. I think we really need to look toward education amongst the public and stop passing ill-gotten facts, and really bring some determined effort toward the community and educating people before we make a decision that could affect the rest of us who have taken healthy steps toward a better life and push us right back to that horrible cigarette. I thank you, gentlemen, for your time for one moment so I can fill in my information.
Is there any further comments?
Now, the resources people have provided you, all the paperwork, evidence, sites, sources, whatever, will that be public? Will we access that and have copies of that?
That's for the purpose of the county executive in helping him make his determination as to whether or not to approve or disapprove of the proposed law. If there's no further comments, I think the county executive would like to make some closing comments.
Just want to thank everyone for coming here today. If you have any other things that you'd like to let me know, I ask you to send it to my office. You can either hand deliver it, you can mail it, 95 Franklin Street, Suite 1600, or you can email it to the county executive's chambers and it'll be taken into consideration. I thank you all for being here. I'm actually late. I'm supposed to have started a meeting 25 minutes ago. I think they're all sitting around doing nothing, but I wanted to be here to hear everybody, and I appreciate you coming. It's important.
Thank you.